He has a lot of passion for College of Medicine, the university, and the society at large.
His administration has been unique. The uniqueness starts in the sense that there are 5 members of management, 4 of whom are women. So we always joke that he runs a woman's administration.
The provost is an achiever because he was all about, he was just there for success.
When you ask people to make a choice between gold and a good name, while some would go for gold, others would rather go for a good name. Why? Because they know that it takes extraordinary efforts to have the two at one's disposal. Guess what? We found a man who possesses both gold and a good name. Professor Olaopa is the immediate past provost of the College of Medicine, University of Ibadan. He's an alumnus of the premier university and also a professor of medicine and surgery. During his time as the provost at the College of Medicine, Professor Olaopa made significant impact and tremendous contribution towards the growth and development of the medical institution. One of his laudable achievements was taking the institution from 10th position in sub-Saharan Africa and 15th position in Africa to the first in sub-Saharan Africa and 4th in Africa, respectively.
I certainly would like to see the college staying where we are now as #1 in sub-Saharan Africa and perhaps climbing a little bit higher, maybe a tall order. In Africa, we're #4 in Africa. The 3 institutions ahead of us in Africa Stellenbosch University. They're actually not in sub-Saharan Africa, which is why we're the #1 medical school in sub-Saharan Africa. There's Stellenbosch, which was established in 1710 in South Africa. University of Cairo is #2, established in 1708, and the University of Mansoura is #3. It was a branch, section, a campus of University of Cairo, established as well in 1708, but shared off as a separate university in 1976. So these are institutions that were 18th century institutions with that degree of tradition. It will be tough for us to overtake them, but at least in the next 5 years, we can maintain our slot.
Talking about how he was able to achieve all these great feats, which would only be achieved within a short period of time, the provost gave a comprehensive insight on how it was done.
The secret is by ensuring that we engaged our stakeholders. And unbeknown to most people, universities are meant to galvanize the economy of their host community. That includes the medical school. It is true that we teach about health, but in reality we are a tertiary institution just like the main university.
As a tertiary institution, the college plays a significant role in the economic life of its host community, the state, and the country in general.
The job of a university is to drive the economy of its local community. For us, our community is not just local, it's also national and international. And therefore, we have a lot of stakeholders. And what we needed to do was to ensure that we engaged our stakeholders in a manner in which they wished to invest in us. To that extent, they were ready to invest in us. They were ready to spend the kind of money that is different from when you are asking for charity. As I try to describe, charity is what you do to the needy. That means you give them what you think you can afford. Philanthropy is sacrificial giving. That means you give that little bit more, indeed that much more, but then you want to ensure that what you have given is going in the right direction. But when you invest, then you really are looking for returns. It's just that your returns are not necessarily measured in naira and kobo or nickels and dimes, but they're measured in achievements. And that is the highest level of benefaction. And for that, most people will give far more than they would have given when you either go to them for assistance, or when you go to them for philanthropy, or when you just simply say, help us.
The road to success is undoubtedly narrow and wide. But when you are blessed with a team of like-minded individuals of impeccable foresight, the whole journey becomes smooth and straight. Professor Olaopa reveals how he and his formidable team jointly proved to critical stakeholders the significance of wealth generation through investment in intellectual expertise.
Certainly, I'm grateful to God that I had the opportunity to serve. I believe the story would really be a story about service. It would also be a story about sacrifice. Anybody in the leadership position makes sacrifices. If it's only the sacrifice on your time, the fact that you have to give up some of your personal needs and wants, and the fact that you have to be available to a lot of people at different times of the day, that is sacrificial. But most importantly, is a story of satisfaction. It is important to have put yourself forward, and it's to have been able to achieve some of the things. You can never achieve all. Some of the things you want to achieve brings a lot of satisfaction, and for that I'm grateful to the Almighty for having given me that opportunity. So it's sacrifice, satisfaction, and service to humanity.
In every successful journey, there lies an inherent obstacle which might impede progress and bring a lot of setback. Professor Olaopa and his team defied all odds by showing how obstacles could be transformed into tentacles of success. The erstwhile Provost explains how they blocked several wastes in the system to pave way for infrastructural development.
I think the most challenging area of running any institution, of which this institution is no exception, is managing the people. Our people are not bad people, but the circumstances of the country are such that everybody needs to look after themselves and look out for themselves. And it's not rocket science to know that if you have 10 people in a committee, each one looking after his own interest, then you will have a situation that there would be necessary or unnecessary conflict. And that, I guess, would be the most challenging aspect, because there are so many interests to look after. And as I mentioned earlier, Ibadan University, of which its College of Medicine is an integral part, belongs to everybody. Being the first in Nigeria, everybody has a stake in Ibadan.
Even in the face of a global pandemic that silenced the world into a new normal society, the ingenuity of the medical guru was brought to bear. After testing positive for COVID-19 alongside his deputy, the ugly development brought about the creation of a novel COVID-19 testing center at the University College Hospital.
I was amazed how some of the things that I initially believed were entirely internal things had international ramifications. Things that you would think you are discussing with one or two people have this habit of going viral, and before you know what is happening, you are receiving phone calls from all over the place. It's not all bad. when I was COVID-19 positive, I was receiving calls from New Zealand, from Qatar, from Philippines, and I was like, excuse me, where did you get to hear this? And with the advent of social media, I mean, you literally don't finish saying something before it's online. So that aspect of managing people was perhaps the most challenging. And of course, with people, you put together staff, students, alumni, government officers, lay public, everybody. Managing them, it was a challenge. And it was also very exciting and very interesting. And it's an experience I wouldn't trade for anything.
Only a man with unique leadership and visionary qualities would achieve all these great feats together with his team in the space of 4 years. The College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, has indeed witnessed a historic administration under the leadership of a more determined, highly committed, hardworking and exceptional Olaopa, whose stainless and sterling performance will continue to reverberate in the annals of the great university's history. His colleagues described him as a listening and very transparent leader who used his leadership position to effect critical changes such as transparency in the approval of funds and budgetary system for all faculties and departments, unique approach towards environmental hygiene, and creating a peaceful atmosphere for staff, students, and members of the community.
He's a team worker and a team leader because he tried to involve as many people as possible in the management of the College of Medicine. And he's somebody who relates, he's open with his leadership roles. And these are some of the qualities of a good leader. And apart from that, he's open in terms of, he tried to bring in openness into the College of Medicine. Most of the things we do, we want people to know about it, not to praise, but to know what is happening. For example, we have a new way of approving money. Before now, people didn't even know how much they had in their account. They have to keep on asking. But now, with the openness, transparency in the leadership, he made sure that everybody who has a form of either departmental money or grant money, they have access to their accounts. And before they request for any money, they know how much is left and how much they can request for. He brought in, during these 4 years, college experience changes in terms of introduction of budgets, which wasn't there before. And this made people, heads of department, deans, to be prudent in their spendings.
He has this kind heart towards people. He's a people person, and he's warm. If you are close to him, he's friendly, he's humorous, and he's generous. He's generous. So many times we have meetings, he will just tell people to order lunch, He's generous. He doesn't like to see people suffer, and out of the rules, out of the books, when we have issues, maybe with people in our management or otherwise, he just calls our attention to it and look for ways by which we can help them.
Professor Olaopa is always on his toes. There is no dull moment with him, and he's full of ideas. In fact, he's a man of so many words. So for you to be able to work with him successfully, you also must be able to match his qualities. He's very hardworking, and always on the run. I think even though I'm not a lazy person, but I have even gained a lot from him.
The professor's seamless relationship with the alumni associations of the college cannot be overemphasized, as this reflects in their contribution towards the success of the administration and the growth and development of the institution as a whole.
We had a fully equipped COVID-19 lab, largely from the funds donated by well-wishers, friends of the college, alumni, and also from the equipment donated by staff, because I was able to tell them, well, if I can catch it, you can catch it. So we better have somewhere we can test. And to the glory of God, we commissioned that lab 3 days after I came out of isolation, which meant that we built a fully equipped COVID-19 lab in 2 weeks. And that lab was accredited about 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. And according to recent data, we're one of the top testing labs in the country.
Some laudable projects embarked upon and commissioned by his administration include a decent security post, the newly renovated Alexandra Brown Hall, the renovated Professor Akinkunwe Clinical Building, Wall of Laureates, newly renovated Oshuntoku Hall, Hall of Benefactor and Achievers, and some gigantic ongoing projects.
Ibarakwa project, we've opened up to 11 faculties now. That means 7 faculties in the main university are working with us. In addition to the 4 that we have here, students from vet, from social sciences, they're all going to Ibarakwa. So all that shows that you are doing what I said I hope we'll do in 5 years' time. We are trying to galvanize your local resources. That's what the ranking really is about. It's how you are able to affect both your local and your international environment with impact. As a result, if you actually look at the ranking data, it would say that the University of Ibadan, that 61% of the global citations of the University of Ibadan originate from the College of Medicine. I'm also blessed by being not only the only man in an all-management team, I'm also the man that is handing over to the first female provost of the College of Medicine. And as I've said, every time they mention that my successor is the first female provost, they must not forget to mention the person who handed over to her. Very important, you know. Just as an interesting aside. But my advice is that in any office, the first thing that one finds out is about oneself. The first discovery is about yourself. Nothing can ever prepare you for yourself. And my advice to my successor, and indeed to all officers who take up any position, is to ensure that they have prepared themselves as well as they can, because it is not those things that you have prepared for that matter. It's those things that will happen that you couldn't possibly have prepared for, but which will bring out hopefully the best and not the worst in you that you need to be worried about. And of course, it is important to be totally reliant on God, but as well to be totally reliable to man by ensuring that you work with your team and you do the best for the college without personal interests overriding the interests, overriding the collective good.
What more can we say of an upright man who has always gone the extra mile to achieve greater goals and put lasting smiles on everyone's face? Thank you for your remarkable years in active service, sacrifice to humanity, and the growth and development of the University College of Medicine. We wish you more prosperous years ahead and a life full of greater fulfillment and success. Remember, it takes only a hero to possess gold and a good name, just as Professor Olaopa holds a good reputation, that is, a good name, and he took the institution to 1st and 4th positions in place of its previous rankings of 10th and 15th positions in sub-Saharan Africa and Africa. That is a good name.